Hello, welcome to my second video for Nonfiction November. In this video, I'm going to be listening to a nonfiction book and reading physically a nonfiction book. The nonfiction book that I'm going to be listening to is My Government Means to Kill Me by Rasheed Newson. oh gosh, I should have looked before I started this video because I'm on my cell phone. I think I'm a good chapter into it, maybe a little bit further. I'm really liking it so far. For me, one of the big reasons to read is to step outside of myself and my life experience and step into the shoes of someone else. And Rasheed so far has lived a life that's very different from mine. He grew up with a rich family and left home as a teenager. I think it was Oklahoma that he was living in, somewhere in the Midwest. And he moved to New York City and got a roommate. He was a bicycle delivery man for a while. And then now in the book, he's talking about his time in a male bathhouse and some of the different people he met there and some of the different experiences that he had there. He's got a very fun and playful way of writing that I'm really enjoying. And it is really fun to hear the experiences of someone who has led a life that I haven't. It'll be really fun to see where this book goes. I'm probably not going to tell you a whole lot about what happens in the book because I don't want to spoil it for anyone. What I probably will be telling you is just my reaction to the book. And then my book for the prompt record is Julie and Julia by Julie Powell. You've probably seen the movie Julia and Julia, or if you haven't, go watch it. It's one of my favorite movies. I think it's so good. I love that movie. I've probably mentioned it before, but it's the movie I go to when my anxiety is really high and I just need to calm down a little bit. It really helps soothe that tension for me. I'm only on page 10. The author has a very snarky way of writing, and she's got kind of a little bit of a dark sense of humor that I personally really appreciate. She hasn't really got into what I know the book is about yet. She went and had a doctor's appointment. She picked up dinner, and she was realizing on the way home that she got the ingredients for one of Julia's meals, which I don't remember the name of it, but it's potato soup basically. And so I'm assuming when she makes the potato soup, maybe she'll use Julia's recipe and somehow decide to start doing a blog. But it's a fun book so far. I'm enjoying it. I'm really enjoying both books. I had originally said in my last vlog that I was going to read Gifts from the Desert by Jack Doerr while I was listening to My Government Means to Kill Me. I've decided not to pair those two books together. After listening long enough to Rasheed's book, I thought, you know what? It's going to be a little awkward to read about male bathhouses while reading a book about the Bible and a book that a previous priest wrote. It just seems like it'd be a little awkward. So I decided to save Gifts from the Desert for later in the month. I do try to be somewhat thoughtful about what books I pair together, and I didn't give any thought to that one. So as far as my day is going, we slept in and I made eggs and pancakes for breakfast. We've both been feeling a little under the weather, like not sick, but that feeling like we're getting sick. So I'm trying to do things to boost our immune system, and we're both just trying to kind of relax and veg out a lot this weekend. I had been planning on making 3 make-ahead meals for the freezer today. I think one of them I'm just going to throw in the slow cooker and cook. And then the other two I will put in the freezer bags and put in the freezer. So in case you're curious, the one that I'm making today is going to be honey mustard pork chops with potatoes. And then the two that I'm going to be freezing is honey garlic chicken, which I must have been in a big honey mood when I came up with my menu for the next 2 weeks. And then the other one is beef and broccoli teriyaki. Do you need more toys? I don't know. I'm starting to wonder. You silly girl. So much fun being a puppy. Look at this. She's got a toy over there too on the floor. You're not spoiled, are you? I get emotional every time I think about this sad pouting puppy that we saw in the pound. Now she's like wagging her tail and happy all the time. Most of the time. I shouldn't say all the time. She's a very happy girl though. I'm very happy that we get to spoil her. I've been putting together the freezer meals while listening to My Government Means to Kill Me. I love this book. I love it. It's raw, it's crass, it's a bit much, and it's amazing because he's just so raw and honest. I love it. Same with Julie Powell. She's very raw and honest. I haven't read as much of that as I have My Government Means to Kill Me, but I put together my little make-ahead freezer meals, and I listened to his book while I was doing that, and I did some dishes and stuff, and then I made lunch. I try to kind of go overboard on the weekends with our food and just really spoil us both food-wise, because that's one of the areas that I take a lot of joy is in delicious food. So for lunch, we had meatballs and couscous. And now I've been watching, is it The Lost Kitchen? And I'm loving it. It just all ties together so nicely to be watching a show about cooking and having a kitchen and enjoying cooking for people. And then also reading two books that maybe on the surface don't seem related or don't seem like they'd be good books to read together. But they're both written by really quirky, honest people. And they both take place in New York City. It is Sunday afternoon. I just finished My Government Means to Kill Me, and I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. If you are interested in everything that transpired during the AIDS pandemic in the 80s and how it affected gay men, I definitely recommend reading it. I just thought the book was so good. It's very raw and honest. So be prepared. If that's not something you want, maybe don't listen to it or read it. But if you're ready to hear a genuine story about something that transpired in someone's life, I definitely recommend it. I'm hoping that Rasheed writes more books because I really did love it. As far as Julie and Julia, I'm on page 169. In the first third of the book, it feels very all over the place. She's telling stories about Julia and Paul, which some of them are stories, some of them are letters. She's talking about her current life, her job. She's also talking about side stories about people at her work or different things that have happened throughout her life, and then also about her childhood and her teen years. And it just feels too all over the place. It feels to me like numerous stories really have nothing to do with this storyline. And I really kind of wish that she had just stuck with this story about her cooking all these recipes and what was going on in her life at the time. Maybe a little bit of mention of her childhood, but it just feels like none of that stuff really needed to be in here. I feel like I'm understanding her life and what's going on in it just in the current moment enough with the way that she writes, to where it just feels excessive to bring in so much of the past and so many side stories and such. I do like having the letters and stories about Paul and Julia in there, but that is relevant to her year going through mastering the art of French cooking. Once I got through the first third, though, I really started enjoying it. Not that I wasn't enjoying it before, but I started enjoying it a lot more because she's kind of laid off of the gas pedal of side stories and the past and stuck with what I feel should be in the book, kind of thing. If I was an editor, this is what I would be telling her or would have told her back when this was published. I'm hoping to finish this book today. We shall see. And I do have Mastering the Art of French Cooking, and it's got me kind of wanting to try some of the recipes. This book definitely has me wanting to learn more about Julia as well. There's numerous books about her and her life, some that she has taken part in, others that she has not, and I kind of want to read some of them. So if you have, I almost said referrals. I mean, I guess, yeah, that would be a referral, but if you have any recommendations, let me know. Otherwise, I am taking down all of the Halloween stuff today. As you see, I still have my Halloween Yoda behind me, and I'm bringing out the Christmas stuff. When we moved, we put everything in storage that was Christmas and brought out a couple things, but everything else stayed in there. And then the last few years, we added on to what we already had. So now I probably have too much decor. So that'll be fun, going through all of it and figuring out what to use. And maybe I don't. We're in a house now. We were in an apartment. Maybe I don't have too much stuff, but I'm thinking I probably do. We'll find out. We decided to give Zelda some catnip for putting away Halloween decorations and taking out Christmas, and she decided to wear the catnip. She's been rolling around in it ever since Brad put it on here. Hello, hello. I just dropped Brad off at the airport. He's going on like a little day business trip, and then I'm picking him up this evening. I thought this would be as good of a time as any to give you an update. I finished Julie and Julia last night, and I really enjoyed it. She's very honest and vulnerable, which for me, that's a big part of how I rate memoirs. I'm not as concerned about writing ability because I understand that a lot of the time we're talking about people that aren't writers. She definitely swears a lot and is honest, and she's just who she is and unapologetically her, which I love it when people are like that, especially in a memoir. I did end up giving her book 4 stars, but I did enjoy it. I was a little bit, it wasn't what I was expecting. I thought it was going to be this like super cozy book about the nurturing feeling of cooking. She seemed to just have a super negative, or had a super negative view on things, you know? So it was kind of hard to read sometimes, and it made me realize that I probably need to be more positive. And it, go ahead. it wasn't, do I have to totally slam on my brakes so you'll get over? I guess so. It wasn't as cozy as I thought, but it still made me want to cook. And just even reading about cooking or reading about her experiences cooking made me want to pick up, a cookbook and delve into that stuff more. Also, I thought it was really interesting when she was talking about just the whole experience of cooking and trying to meet deadlines and how stressful that can be sometimes. It kind of reminded me of my YouTube channels. Having deadlines and wanting to meet them, whether it's trying to read certain books, or especially if I'm sent an arc and feeling like, okay, I have to read this by this day, and I've got to write the reviews, and I've got to post them here, take pictures, do all this stuff. It gets kind of a little bit stressful. Just that feeling like she had to get all these recipes done by a certain time to keep people happy, or the feeling of letting someone down if she's not posting. I used to feel that way on YouTube a lot. I don't feel that way so much anymore because I feel like viewers kind of come and go. They're very cyclical. And the ones that stick around, the ones that I tend to do this for, you guys will watch no matter what. It doesn't matter if I post 4 times a week or once every 2 weeks. You guys are still here and you'll still watch. And so I concentrate on those people, those of you more. It was just an interesting part of reading about her experience. I could relate. And then I didn't even talk about this in the beginning of the blog. I didn't realize I would finish My Government Means to Kill Me as quickly as I did. So I started I'm Glad My Mom's Dead, and I thought that book was so good too. That one was a 5-star read for me. I thought it was wonderful. Once again, she's very vulnerable and honest and raw, and I'm there for it. And I could really relate to having to deal with a narcissist who is very manipulative and having to figure out how to get by, and then her feeling guilty because of how she felt and being in denial of her feelings. And I get it, I understand, I relate. I was shocked and disgusted and just, it was just amazing to hear some of the details about her mom and what she did and how she manipulated her and tried to live her dreams through her. And boy, that's a lot to chew on and to think about. And hopefully, if you are a parent and you listen to this book, hopefully you can really think about that, about how you might be manipulating your child without even realizing it. I think I've even thought about, oh my gosh, do I do that sometimes with people? Do I say or do things to knowingly make them feel guilty? And how does that affect them? And yes, to be honest, I do. Sometimes I will say things knowing it's going to make somebody feel bad. And what is the point in that, right? So that's one of the reasons I love reading nonfiction books, is I feel like I always end up learning something along the way and figuring out more ways to make myself a better person, because I believe that is a lifelong endeavor that is never reached, being the best person we can be. So have you read any of these books? Have you read Julie and Julia, My Government Means to Kill Me, or I'm Glad My Mom is Dead? If you have, let me know, or if you're planning on reading any of them, let me know. I solidly recommend all 3 books. They were so good. So good. I will be coming to you with my next Nonfiction November vlog soon. It seems like a lot of you prefer the vlog format of book reviews to my just sitting down at the end of the month and doing a wrap up. Now, if you still want wrap ups, let me know. I could always do those and just kind of quickly say, I gave this book this many stars. Here's why in a couple sentences, and you know, like a short month-end thing. So let me know if that's something you want to see. Otherwise, I guess I'll just be doing reading vlogs. I've always thought my life was really boring, but maybe it's not so bad, huh? I started reading The Underkeeper's Daughter, which is an ARC. The author sent it to me, and you guys, if you like horror novels, get this book. I started it last night. I was planning on reading about 10 or 15 pages, and by the time I went to bed, I was 80 pages in. I couldn't put it down. I loved the book, or I am loving the book. And reading about high schoolers and stuff, it kind of reminded me of Sweet Valley High. Obviously, it's a horror novel. It's not going to remind me of that for long. But I put together this 80s playlist for reading to listen to while I read it. Kind of put me in like that synthesizer, background noise, you know, kind of vibe. And it's pretty fun. So if you have a chance to grab a new book and you like horror books, I really recommend this one. And I don't know how it'll turn out. Maybe it'll end up not being one of my favorite books of all time or anything, but so far I'm just loving it. I love his writing style. He's got like kind of a humor to his writing, but also this very laid back teenager feeling that I love. Well, I am going to go get Olive some pajamas. I bought her a new pair, and they are too tight for her muscular shoulders. So I'm going to go exchange them for a larger size, and I will be back with you soon with the next vlog.